It's the appointed time. We have a quorum. I call to order the meeting of the panel on financial affairs. Welcome. I will first have the policy briefing by Financial Services and the Treasury Bureau. The representatives from the administration are now inside the conference room. Welcome, Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury and his team. I will now invite the Secretary to brief the policy initiatives of the Bureau. To reserve enough time for members to ask questions, please be brief. Secretary. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. 2026 is the first year of the country's national 15 five-year plan. We will continue to innovate and reform and align with the country's strategy and consolidate and enhance Hong Kong's status as an international financial center. I will give a brief presentation and then I am more than willing to take questions from members. On consolidating the international financial center status, we will continuously strengthen the stock market. The stock market of Hong Kong has maintained a strong momentum last year. We will launch multiple initiatives to enhance our listing regime and the operations of the stock market. We have the tech enterprises channel to have a more comprehensive financing system in Hong Kong. We will also improve the main board listing system as well as the issuance of structured products. We are looking to implement various improvements, including for the weighted voting structure, and we would also want to promote secondary listing of mainland and overseas enterprises. Apart from the financing market, we will also enhance our status as an international asset and wealth management center. We will enhance tax concessions for single-family offices and ancillary interests. We will introduce the relevant legislative proposals to the Council this year, and this year we will also for REIT have for acquisition and buyback and related arrangements submit the legislative proposals to the Council this year. With this, we will have clearer arrangements for privatization. Third, apart from financing, apart from asset management, we will also strengthen our status as an international risk management center. To encourage the participation of insurance funds in infrastructure financing, we will amend the legislation this year to lower capital requirements for infrastructure investment and provide targeted support for local projects. We will also promote the development of captive business. Last year in November, there was an announcement that the industry has established an independent marine specialty risk pool, and it is expected to start providing risk coverage for Hong Kong and mainland vessels this year. We are also trying to build a world-leading bond market. The SFC and the Hong Kong MA promulgated the blueprint for fixed income and currency market. And for 4 pillars, we have some measures. The SFC in December has conducted a feasibility study on that to explore the development and establishment of a dedicated trading platform. We will also deepen connectivity. We will work with mainland authorities and bodies to launch an offshore international futures and swap connect related derivative products. In the first half of this year, we will submit proposals to LegCo for renminbi payment of renminbi stamp duty. We will also continue to promote professional accountancy, and we will work with the AFRC to study their long-term financing model. So I talked about consolidating Hong Kong's status as an international finance center. I will now talk about how we can expedite the development of new growth areas. One is the building of an international gold trading market and promoting commodity trading. We now have a target gold storing capacity of over 2,000 tons in 3 years to make Hong Kong into a regional gold reserve hub. And we will also encourage gold traders to set up or expand refineries. We have signed an MOU with the Shenzhen Municipal Financial Regulatory Bureau to provide lawful and regulatory support for Hong Kong gold traders to utilize gold refining facilities established in Shenzhen and to carry out processing, trade, and exporting refined gold to Hong Kong for trading and delivery. And on Monday of this week, I have already sent an cooperation agreement with the Shanghai Gold Exchange to collaborate on gold trading to expand the country's influence. And we already have this CMU OmniClear, and this year we will commence operations. Right now, for commodities, we have 15 LME recognized delivery warehouses operating in Hong Kong. We will also encourage the Hong Kong Exchange to work with other commodity exchanges. The Steering Committee on Strategic Committee on Commodities has convened some meetings to enhance top-level design in relation to commodity-related policy. We are also looking for a new growth area in stablecoins. The stablecoins bill came into operation last year. We now have an issuance regime for issuers of stablecoins. The Hong Kong MA is currently dealing with the relevant applications. In December last year, we have been consulting stakeholders on virtual asset trading and the regulatory regime. The SFC will also provide advice on the regulation of custodian service providers and virtual asset traders and other two types of traders. And this year, we will submit the relevant proposals to the LegCo. We will also submit legislative proposals relating to OECD's crypto asset reporting framework as well as common reporting standard this year to exchange information with other tax jurisdictions in relation to crypto asset trading to combat tax evasion. We're currently consulting the public on this. We are also trying to promote development of green and sustainable finance. We have already, since December of last year, consulted the public on the disclosure standards. Stakeholder feedback will be fully considered to formulate relevant proposals. On development of carbon trading market, the HKEX will work with mainland and other regulatory bodies to look into the country's participation in international carbon market. The third main area is to promoting the going global and trying to attract more capital and investment. We have launched the company domiciliation regime in mid-May last year. We have received great feedback. As at late January, we have 14 applications, and we are dealing with 20 other remaining applications. We will continue to promote this regime. We also want to encourage more parties to come to Hong Kong for secondary listing. Apart from attracting enterprises and capital, we are also trying to recruit high value added industries and high potential enterprises. In fact, the Steering Committee on Preferential Policies for Attracting Industries and Investment was established and is looking to have flexible incentives to attract enterprises. Hong Kong should also serve as a platform for overseas expansion. We are trying to attract more enterprises to set up corporate treasury centers in Hong Kong. We are also deepening international exchanges and cooperation. Hong Kong will be organizing for the first time the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC Finance Ministers meeting, and we will showcase our comprehensive development in the economic, financial, and social dimensions, and how we are playing a role as a super connector and super value adder. The AIIB Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank announced last year that it will set up an office in Hong Kong. We are providing relevant support to AIIB. We also have different financial mega events this year, such as the Global Business Permit and the Wealth for Good in Hong Kong Summit. We have reserved $30 billion to increase expenditure on works projects in the next 2 to 3 years. We are also supporting SMEs by reducing water and sewage charges, trade affluent surcharge, as well as waiving fees for various licenses and permits. We will reform the MPF system. The government and the MPFA, Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Authority, will continue to arrange MPF schemes to onboard the MPF platform. Legislative amendments providing the legal basis for MPF full portability were completed last year, and we plan to, in Q4 this year, consult this panel, and we will introduce the amendment bill to the LegCo in the first half of next year. We are also trying to regulate lenders. The public consultation was completed last year. We will announce the conclusions in March this year. When finalizing our proposals, we'll consider all feedback we heard. We are also trying to encourage childbirth. We will extend the relevant tax concessions and allowances from 1 year to 2 years. We will submit the relevant legislative proposal to the Council this year. That's it for my presentation. My team and I are more than willing to take questions from members. Thank you, Secretary. We now have a Q&A session. I will assign a 3-minute time limit because there are a number of members who are planning to speak. I'll read out the order in which members are going to speak. Mr. Rock Chan, Dr. Johnny Ng, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, Ms. Carmen Khan, Mr. Duncan Chu, Professor Michael Ai, Mr. Nick Chan, Dr. Webster Ng, Mr. Chen Pulung, Mr. Wei Rong, Mr. Andrew Fan, Mr. Albert Chung, Mr. Sunny Chen, Mr. Ellen Chen, Mr. Tommy Zhong, Ms. Christine Fong. The first to speak, the Deputy Chairman, Mr. Rock Chan. Thank you, Chair. The Secretary said earlier that the government will enhance listing rules in relating to weighted voting structure to enhance our competitiveness. And in fact, Dr. Starry Lee, Mr. Chen Chunying, and I raised a number of related suggestions before, and I am looking forward to the government's plans on this. About boosting the capital and stock markets, right now we have over 100 listed companies that are listed on the main board that have really low number of transactions. Does the government plan on dealing with this? With companies having such a low number of transactions, they're incurring a high compliance cost, but they are not playing a function of listing in the market. The Secretary also mentioned we will develop digital assets. And right now for VTPs, their regulated activities are all suffering a loss. I'm not paying attention to the profitability of specific enterprises. I think with a sustained loss, it does not really help with the development of the trade. So for, say, crypto, the relevant coins that can be dealt with, the services, the product range, will you conduct a review? Is there any structural change you can implement? There are 3 questions, Secretary.
Thank you, Member, for your questions. Now, 2 areas. First, the listing regime, and also the liquidity after listing. Now, we had a working group on liquidity to study and focus how we can enhance the volume of transaction and liquidity of stocks. That includes studying the price differentiation arrangement and also the size of each stock unit. So we are focusing on the recommendations made by the working group to enhance the liquidity in the secondary market. So in the process, we would like to enhance the market's price discovery function so as to benefit the relevant enterprises. They will enjoy greater liquidity because of that. Second, Mr. Chen mentioned the prospects of digital assets. Now, we are tackling that on several fronts. First of all, the regulatory framework. As I said just now, there will be several regulatory framework for custodians and service providers. Now, for those who have already entered the market, how are they performing on the stock market in terms of profitability and revenue? Now, actually, there are roadmaps published so that we can gradually develop the market in an orderly manner. We will keep tab with the market situation and enhance the regulatory regime where possible. We will continue to listen to members' views on what areas we can continue to improve. Next, Mr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chairman. Earlier this week, there was the Asian Financial Forum, which was a huge success. So congratulations. Now, the Secretary said that in October, we will, for the first time, host the APEC's Finance Ministers meeting in Hong Kong. This is a big event, so how can we make use of this opportunity to tell good stories of Hong Kong? Second question about our stock market. Now, the U.S. is studying the possibility of tokenized bond. There may even be a T+0 24-hour around-the-clock market. So as the Asian financial market, how can we catch up? Secretary. Thank you. In response to the member's question, on the upcoming APEC Finance Ministers meeting in October, we have received the support of the country's finance ministry to host the meeting. We are already actively collaborating with the finance ministry and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ensure that the meeting is going to be a success. Now, as the most internationalized city in the country, we will make use of the opportunity to tell the good stories of Hong Kong and China, and also promote our products. And also, we will promote Hong Kong's unique characteristics and show our strengths to our international friends while explaining the country's latest developments as an economy to other countries. The second question is in relation to tokenization. Now we can see that tokenization, the impact is significant on improving the efficiency of transaction in the market. There are lots of discussion in terms of quicker turnaround time and settlement. And also, many governments have issued tokenized bonds, including the Hong Kong SAR government. That has reduce the settlement cycle from 5 days to 1 day. So through fintech, we have enhanced the liquidity of our capital. Second, we are actively promoting the inclusion of various virtual assets in the tokenized market so as to bring benefits to the real economy and investors. For example, we are exploring the inclusion of a gold ETF. We are even planning to set up a separate category for the gold ETF in certain platforms. So while in compliance with the law and regulations, we will promote the development of this segment. Here, I would like to thank members for your long-time support for our work. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, thank you, Chairman. Just now I heard the Secretary saying that for crypto assets or digital assets, Hong Kong is going to be a global innovation hub. In that case, we need to ensure that our regulations and laws can catch up with the development. So will we have a concrete roadmap and timetable for that? Now, the government said that within 12 months' time, we will have a draft regulatory framework. But what about the roadmap? Now, second, with the emergence of the eMPF platform, there have been complaints about MPF accounts, money MPF accounts being stolen. Now, more than 90% of MPF assets have been moved onto the e-platform. So with these complaints, what will the government do to protect the access of retirees? May I invite Selina, the Permanent Secretary, to answer this question? Thank you, Mr. Lee, for your questions. First of all, digital access development roadmap. We have already kick-started the work, including legislative amendments. Back in 2023, we made a major decision, that is, we need to promote the healthy and orderly development of digital access. So in terms of VATP, we have introduced a license system to provide a legal foundation, which was supported by the then LegCo. Now, the SFC, as the license issuers, has already issued 11 licenses. One licensee has even listed. Now, last year, we have passed the stablecoin ordinance with the HKMA as the license issuer. As a third step, for over-the-counter transactions of digital assets, in relation to the management, the size of access, and also custody of the digital assets, since the custodian will be in custody of the private key to the assets, it is very important. So we have consulted the public and issued a report. Within the year, we will strive to introduce a bill into LegCo for that purpose. So the roadmap is concrete, and we are following it closely. Internationally, we are pleased to see international organizations choosing Hong Kong as a venue for convention. The SFC has issued a document to tie in with this development as well. The second question about the security and reliability of the eMPF platform. I'm pleased to say that yesterday, some 24% of our assets have gone online. So we are trying to make the platform as convenient as possible, but safety is the top concern, especially for members' assets. We have reminded the contractors of the eMPF to give top priority to security. There have been cases where there were imposters using fake ID cards to withdraw the money from the account. So we have stopped using eKYC, and only I'm Smart is allowed for logging in. So we encourage all members of the public to use I'm Smart to log on to the platform. Ms. Carmen Khan. Thank you, Chairman. I have participated in the 19th cohort of the Asian Financial Forum. I'm thankful to the FSTB for organizing this event. Now, from what I've heard from some of the speakers, they are very confident in our future, including some European venture fund managers. They are willing to enlarge the investment in Hong Kong. So we should ride on this good trend. That also includes the UK's Prime Minister's recent visit to the country. Now, I know the FSTB is very aware of these opportunities as well. So the opportunity may slip by easily, so we must seize the opportunities. Now, there is also a dedicated task force for helping mainland enterprises to go global under the FSTB. And these mainland enterprises have need of financial services in Hong Kong as well. That is something that we need to be aware of as well. Now, the CIEF New Capital Investment Entrance Scheme, some 2,800 applications have been received. So after relaxing the threshold on the value of the property purchased, did that help increase the number of applications? Now, about the roadmap for developing the fixed income market, I hope we can focus more on secondary mortgage. Thank you. Secretary. Thank you, members, for supporting the Asian Financial Forum. Now, my takeaway from the forum is similar to the members. We had some 4,000 participants from 60 countries and 150 speakers from around the world. The feedback is great. We all focused on the Hong Kong markets and how to use Hong Kong as a springboard to enter the mainland markets and the greater Asian market. So, of course, we won't be complacent. We will seize the opportunities ahead and implement reforms. In particular, the bond market, gold market, and construction of infrastructure, with your support, we will continue to work hard. Second, Ms. Khan mentioned how we can continue to attract more capital to Hong Kong. So during my opening remarks, I also mentioned that this is very important for our status. For example, family offices and also corporate treasury centers. We're now reviewing the relevant tax arrangements for these investors. Now, the laws were last amended 10 years ago. According to my discussion with enterprises, they all indicated that they would like to make use of Hong Kong to manage their assets. So we will introduce bills to members in due course, and I hope members will support our amendment exercise. I would like to invite my colleague to brief members on the latest situation of the Capital Investment Entrance Scheme. Thank you. After the relaxation, the feedback has been great. Accounting firms and legal firms, as well as other intermediaries, have promoted this new discount package to their clients. Many of their clients have purchased properties as a form of investment. To the applicants, they first have to be assessed for their eligibility. After that, they would have half a year's time to make the investment. So we may have to wait half a year to see the full effect, but we are already seeing a rising trend. Thank you.
我諗時間關係，第三條。
Due to time constraints, the third question about fixed income and currency markets, perhaps a member can follow up later with the administration on other occasions, Mr. Duncan Chu. I do appreciate the government incorporating feedback on development of digital assets. As I said in the last term for many times, we need to name the assets as digital assets rather than virtual assets. But then I also see in the paper some parts mentioning virtual assets. And in fact, on the consultation of custodian services, it is also called virtual assets. So should we follow the mainland's practice calling all of the related assets digital assets, or are we going to say part of the digital assets are virtual assets? And for the virtual asset trading platforms, if they only can deal with digital assets, we need to have clear definitions of digital assets and virtual assets. And right now, there are different categorizations. There is security, product, and in fact, the U.S.'s Clarity Act is also making clear the relevant definitions. So I think to minimize confusion, perhaps we need to define the two terms. Other members talked about for digital assets, after consultation, we also have the dealing of the 4 types of service providers, regulation, consultation, and the roadmap actually instilled much confidence in the market. And we had other related documents on development of virtual or digital assets. So is it possible for us to have all these proposals by the first half of this year? Secretary, I'll ask Ms. Selina Yan, the permanent secretary, to answer the question. We will adopt, as Mr. Duncan Chu said, we will have an overall term being digital assets, and we have different classes under the digital assets. There will be specific obligations and rights for service providers. We have issued licenses for virtual asset related trading. I would say the overall development is that we are trying to develop the digital economy and digital assets. When we're consulting about the management and custody services, we will soon be drafting the law in finer detail. We should have the definitions then, and once we have the proposals, we can discuss these in detail. But I think we have the same understanding. Member, we try to submit the proposals as soon as possible. We do have to deal with some complex issues, but we do appreciate that we have received very positive feedback during consultation, and the feedback has really helped with our drafting. Thank you. Mr. Professor Michael I. Thank you, Chair. I would like to thank the Bureau for giving a presentation. I want to talk about, in particular, deepening cooperation with other jurisdictions. The Hong Kong EX included several exchanges in Singapore, Indonesia, and Thailand as recognized exchanges to attract more enterprises in these regions to list in Hong Kong. I think we need to look further apart from the ASEAN. New York, London, and Singapore, especially Singapore, has many companies coming from different places, probably more places than what we see in Hong Kong. How will the government formulate targets, for example, how many overseas enterprises will list in Hong Kong in the next 3 years? We also need to provide auxiliary support to overseas enterprises. We should provide tailor-made services. There are 2 benefits to this. One, it will minimize compliance costs related to listing for the companies. We can also provide greater incentive for them to come to list in Hong Kong, so that can act as a springboard for them to the mainland market. We have seen before the number of transactions where the companies have listed in Hong Kong have amounted close to zero. How can we help increase business for them? Secretary, I think it is a goal for both the government and the Hong Kong EX to reach beyond the ASEAN. We have recently enterprises from different places coming to list in Hong Kong. We recently had one coming from Kazakhstan. They do copper-related business, and in fact, they listed in both Hong Kong dollar as well as renminbi. They also listed at the same time in their home country. We have all along been trying to encourage companies to list. This effort never stopped. How can we ask for more to come? We are trying to provide regulatory convenience, which is why the Hong Kong EX has signed cooperation agreements with different exchanges, and specifically for the listing rules, we'll make sure the companies know what investor protection measures we have, and we're also expanding the listing arrangements to expand the scope. We are also trying to provide commercial convenience. After one has listed in Hong Kong, that is a part of financing cooperation. We want to cooperate on other aspects as well. We want to help them set up their business in Hong Kong, set up R&D centers in Hong Kong, and to help them develop in the mainland or other parts of the world. We have Oasis, we have Invest Hong Kong, and other government bodies working on this to provide support to enterprises. Thank you. Mr. Nick Chen. The government said in the 2025-2026 budget that it will charge boundary facilities fee of $200 per vehicle, and it is to be implemented this year. In fact, other MPC deputies and I conveyed citizen feedback and urged the government to suspend relevant arrangements. I want to ask if the government has reviewed the relevant arrangements. Secretary, the member's understanding is correct. In the budget last year, there are plans to research the feasibility of a boundary construction fee. After mentioning this proposal, we have heard feedback from various members as well as society. At the moment, we do not plan on charging the relevant fee, the boundary facilities fee. Thank you. Dr. Webster, Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the very detailed presentation. I have first a question on paragraph 27 about the company redomiciliation regime. I have seen many companies taking advantage of the regime. Does the Bureau have other measures to have them promote to other enterprises so as to attract more overseas enterprises to come to Hong Kong? I also want to ask about paragraphs 33 and 34. We are the first place, one of the first locations in the world implementing sustainability disclosure standards. And we're doing a consultation which will end in March. I think we can be a leader to lead the world in implementing relevant standards instead of us just following the rules. I also note that the government will also introduce some legislative amendments relating to the Inland Revenue Ordinance into the Council, some relating to digital assets, some relating to family offices and funds. I hope the Bureau can pay attention to certain issues. For example, for passive income, FSIE, etc. After we have done a bunch of things, it seems that the international body did not think we complied with the relevant standards. So can we be proactive and make sure we check for the requirements before we do the legislative amendments? Thank you. Secretary. After the redomiciliation regime was launched in May last year, we have seen 14 approved applications, and we're dealing with the 20 remaining applications. We do want to keep a sustainable business relationship with the enterprises after they have redomiciled. In fact, the redomiciled companies already have a lot of business in Hong Kong, such as insurance companies and other holding companies. And they found us attractive, which is why they moved back to Hong Kong. And we have other government bodies such as Invest Hong Kong following up on these enterprises to provide support to them. On tax-related amendments, we do things on a rolling basis. We are communicating with international bodies. We are also communicating with stakeholders locally. We are continuously working on the related proposals. Thank you. I will now ask Selena to answer the second question. I would say Hong Kong as an international financial center has been trying to promote sustainability. We do want to be a pioneer and a leader. In fact, in the adoption of ISSB standards, the International Financial Reporting Standards, Sustainability Disclosure Standards, we have already done the first batch, and the ISSB has confirmed Hong Kong being one of the first locations that will implement the relevant standards. The accountancy profession also adopted relevant standards. So we have already commenced such work, and in fact, we are pioneers in such work. We are pioneers because the adoption is actually voluntary in most jurisdictions, and we actually think it is better to make things mandatory, and we should verify disclose information to make sure they comply with the relevant standards. So on top of the voluntary basis requirements, we actually went above and beyond. Mr. Chen Pui-Len. Thank you, Chair. I welcome the administration in promoting insurance funds in participating in infrastructure investment, lowering the relevant capital requirement. Insurance companies have long-term investments that are of large scale, but the tenor and the amount of infrastructure bonds do not really tie in with the needs of insurance companies. Would the government consider issuing more bonds and to increase the tenor for infrastructure bonds? This will facilitate the business of insurance companies. On captive insurance, with the long-term efforts of the administrations, we now have 6 captive businesses. But most of the 6 businesses are from the mainland. I believe only one of them is from overseas. Apart from captive businesses in the mainland, for overseas companies that have already set up operations in Hong Kong or even the mainland, should we strive for them to be domiciled to Hong Kong? Also, with captive insurance companies having set up operations in Hong Kong, can we look at how much business they have actually brought back to Hong Kong? Thank you.
Secretary, I will take the second question and I will invite Mr. Leung to answer the first question. As mentioned by Mr. Chen, with our effort, we have increased the number of captive insurers in Hong Kong from 4 to 6 last year. On whether we can have more captive insurers from overseas, well, actually, there are 2 captive insurers from locally and also 1 from Australia. These insurers consider our arrangements convenient, which can help the growth of their business. There are many mainland enterprises which have gone global and established supply chain, so they face very unique risks. So setting up a captive insurance business is good for their business. So we will strive to encourage more businesses overseas, including those from the mainland and foreign-funded companies, to set up captive insurance business in Hong Kong. Thank you. On the government infrastructure bond project, we share the same views with Mr. Chen. Using bond issuance to fund our infrastructure projects is our objective. So that aligns with the insurance business, which targets long-term profits. So in the future cohorts of bond issuance, we will issue more bonds with a longer tenure. And we will shift our focus to RMB bonds as well. Actually, we have met with the insurance business leaders to obtain their support for that objective as well. We continue to communicate with them. Next, Mr. Ray Wong. Chairman, the paper mentions a lot of measures to support SMEs. First, in paragraph 43, the HKMA will help SMEs to tap the Southeast Asian market. So the engineering sector supports that. But financing is really hard right now. Cash flow is really important for SMEs, and banks are very stringent in loan approval. Even when there are orders and when we are capable to meet the order, we lack the fund. So can we enhance the arrangement on credit loans so that SMEs have the funds to tap overseas markets? Paragraph 49, reducing the water and sewage charges for non-domestic accounts. Now, during the economic downturn, this is a good measure, but maybe the government can take another step and procure local solutions to reduce the amount of waste. For example, the government can collaborate with local green technology companies to reduce effluents from businesses. For businesses that choose to go green, there can be more concession for them. That would be a win-win. Secretary, I will take the second question, and I will invite the HKMA colleagues to take the first one. Concerning our procurement exercise, we do try to spend public money wisely, and particularly on enterprises which are promising. However, we cannot favor local businesses too much because we have a pledge with the World Trade Organization. However, we have procured technology solutions from local researchers, especially solutions which are suitable for the local context. Now, 2 to 3 years ago during COVID, together with the Hong Kong Productivity Council, we organized a promotion day to introduce local solution packages to government departments. Now, some departments carry out their own procurement exercises. Now, because of the information gap, they may not be aware of these locally available solutions. So we will exhaust all channels to match local businesses with government departments. We invite the HAMA to take the first question. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Member, for your support. Last year, we led a delegation comprising business partners to Southeast Asian countries. This year, we will do the same. On credit and loan approval, we have established a working group comprising bank representatives and SME leaders to tackle the issues. And also, we are using fintech to provide better services. For example, using the data from exports and imports to reduce the credit referencing costs for banks. Mr. Andrew Fan, thank you. My question is in relation to the shortage of manpower in the accounting business, in the accounting sector. In the mainland, the unemployment rate for university graduates is high. So can we remove some obstacles to introduce accounting talents from the mainland to replenish our talent pool? Paragraph 19, the government said that it would help enhance the productivity and professionalism of the accounting sector. Now, there are some accounting intermediaries where the government has promised to tackle for many years. Now, for certified public accountants, they need to comply with the relevant advertisement rules. For example, they cannot smear the businesses of other accountants and so on. However, there are ways to bypass the rules simply by removing the term certified from the titles. So it seems that there is a huge gap. And every few years, our license would be reviewed by the Accounting and Financial Reporting Council. So if the results are bad, of course, condemnation is due. But if the accountants are performing well, can we give them some commendation? Now, the FSTB is short of manpower, I understand that. But this year, the renewal process has become smoother. Now, last year, it was not until March when I received the notification, but this year I have been notified of my successful renewal in January. But actually, my license has expired on the 31st of October last year. So please make the renewal process smoother so that we can be in compliance with the law. Secretary, in October 2022, we have kickstarted the new Accounting and Financial Reporting Council's function, which include promoting and supporting the professional development of the accounting industry. In response to the question on talents and manpower, now accounting talents are now on the talents list in response to the suggestion made by council members in terms of cracking down cases of imposters and also issuing fake audit reports. Now, back in Year of Assessment 2024 and 5, we have required companies to provide the practice license number of the accountant who signed off the audit report so that we can hold them to account. Now, in terms of approval time and renewal applications processing, we will work it out with the AFRC. Thank you. Next, Mr. Sunny Tan. Thank you. I would like to speak on behalf of the businesses who need financing. Now, it seems that the HAEX or the SFC favor large enterprises small in terms of listing on the main board and secondary market. As Mr. Rock Chen mentioned, there are some stocks with poor liquidity and low transaction. It may have to do with this situation. Now, most of the transactions concentrated among the top 100 stocks. So how can the industry work with the government to improve our financing platform and shift the focus from ultra-large enterprises to larger and large companies, so that enterprises at different stage of development can also enter the financing market? Second question, the same for bond market. We need to build a yield curve and make it more diverse. Secretary, several members ask questions about our financing function, which is crucial to our status as a financial center. Now, there are direct and indirect financing. For direct financing, it is done through banks. So the HAMA has mentioned their work on supporting the need for supporting the application of loans. Now, for indirect financing, issuance of bonds and stocks. Now, when the Hong Kong EX assessed the application, it is a pure rule-based exercise. They adopt the same standards on every applicant. So that's the core foundation of Hong Kong as a premium financing market. We are credible and we are famous for being impartial to any application. As long as the applicants meet the requirements, we will be pleased to provide our service to them. Of course, enterprises have different needs for financing at different stages of development. That's why we have introduced several reforms in the past. For example, reforming the growth enterprise market, and also some facilitation measures implemented by other bureaus for startups and also enterprises pre-profit, so that a whole package of work. All enterprises look for continuous growth, so there is a sustained need for financing. We will be pleased to work with members to ensure that all enterprises can meet their financing needs. Next, Mr. Alan Chen. Thank you, Chairman. My question is in relation to paragraph 12, building a world-leading bond market. Now, Hong Kong is the largest wealth management center. According to the figures provided by Boston Consulting Group, the AUM is 2.75 trillion USD, just like that of Switzerland. But there is a problem. We don't have bond products or securities products. If that's the case, it may deter cash from entering Hong Kong. So how can we drastically boost the variety of our security investment products so as to bring the 2.75 trillion US dollars to Hong Kong in earnest? The second is about enhancing the trade transaction volume. Now, Japan ranks 3rd and Singapore 21st in the world, while Hong Kong ranks 24th. Now, in Japan, it's about 10.44 trillion USD. That's the transaction volume back in 2025. Singapore, 732 USD, 732 million USD, billion USD, and Hong Kong ranks below them. So how can we enhance the size and diversity of our security investment products? Now, finally, paragraph 45 about the AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. An office is going to be set up in Hong Kong. That's good, because on average, the AIB would issue bonds to the tune of 10 billion USD. Now, if the headquarters of the AIB is located in Hong Kong, will that drastically enhance the size of our financial markets, because it serves some 111 sovereign countries. Now, how can we strive for more bond issuance in RMB and Hong Kong dollars to enlarge the diversity of our bond market while helping RMB to be internationalized? Now, offshore, we have 1.4 trillion RMB in saving accounts, but there is not enough interest paid in or dividend paid in RMB. So can we encourage the IB to issue more RMB bonds in Hong Kong?
Secretary, I can share with the members some figures, how we're doing in the bond market before. According to relevant figures in the past 10 years, for 9 years, we are Asia's largest international bond center. In 2024, we have Asian international debt issued in Hong Kong amounting to over 130 billion US dollars. It accounts for 30% in the market. And we are also a leading green finance hub. In 2024, we issued green sustainable bonds and loans over 84 billion US dollars, and the green and sustainable bonds issued in Hong Kong is about 43 billion US dollars. It is first in Asia. It also accounts for about 40% of the total. We, of course, want to continue to develop the bond market, and our advantage is definitely our close relationship with renminbi, which is why the regulatory body promulgated the roadmap to leverage on our advantages relating to renminbi to really boost the market. The Ministry of Finance and many provinces and cities of the mainland issued bonds in Hong Kong, and for these bonds of the country that are issued in Hong Kong, we have tax concessions that would cover profits of capital gains as well as interest income. So that's what we've been doing to promote development of the bond market. As for how the AIIB setting up a office in Hong Kong will play a role in the bond market, as you may remember, at the Asian Financial Forum, the new CEO of the AIIB attended a public event for the first time after he took office. It really shows how we have a close relationship with the AIIB. And they also issued the one-ton bonds this year. We will continue to promote not only financing, but AIIB's use of other professional services such as legal and accountancy services. AIIB setting up an office can be really beneficial to us, and we hope that it can not only make use of our financing services but also professional services. It should also provide quality employment opportunities for young professionals. Thank you. Mr. Tommy Zhong. I would first like to thank the Bureau for saying that Ensemble TX has now entered a new stage. I want to ask, what is the latest situation of the pilots, and would you allow small and medium enterprises, especially in the import and export sector, to take part in the pilot so that for tokenized deposits, clearing and settlement, we can make adjustments and we can transition to actual usage in future? I also am happy to hear that the administration has a target for having 2,000 ton gold storage capacity in the next 3 years. I want to ask, will that cover other precious metals? And will we also set a target to make sure we can compete with other LME main hubs in the vicinity, such as South Korea, Malaysia, and Singapore? Secretary, thank you. On commodities, as I said in my presentation, it also covers precious metals, copper, as well as other metals such as zinc. And once Hong Kong has been recognized by the LME as a recognized delivery warehouse hub, and we now already have over 20,000 tons of non-ferrous metals in Hong Kong stored. Invest Hong Kong actually has received inquiries about warehousing facilities, about companies wanting to set up operations in Hong Kong, and about Northern Metropolis. We want to make use of finance to bring about benefits in different sectors of the real economy. So with developments in finance will not only boost the financial sector, but also other industries and sectors. I will now ask the Hong Kong MA representative to answer the first question on Ensemble TX. As the member said, we launched in November last year Ensemble TX. We entered a pilot stage. We believe with this we have now an important step for real trading of tokenized deposits. And with Ensemble TX, there are several main aims. We want to increase the transparency for trade payments and financing. We have banks, technology companies, as well as startups taking part in the sandbox. If there are specific applications that enterprises want to try, we welcome them to reach out to us. Ms. Christine Fang. Thank you, Chair. The stablecoin bill has promulgated a comprehensive regulatory framework to make sure there are 100% fiat reserves, and anonymous trading and leverage trading are prohibited. And we can also have stablecoins being of good use in helping mainland enterprises go global and helping SME trading. But we need to make sure we need to have good regulation. And how can we make sure we have same business, same risk, same regulation to balance risk management and development of industries? Thank you, Chair. Secretary. Actually, Ms. Fang's view is very much in line with what we have been saying in the Council. We want to make sure we practice risk management while we're trying to seek new developments in finance. I would perhaps ask the Hong Kong MA representative to tell the member about latest updates. Thank you, Chair. We are indeed regulating stablecoin with the approach of being prudent first and then relax restrictions in accordance with actual experience. We're dealing with the related applications at the moment, and when we consider applications, we take into account whether the issuers can meet relevant regulatory and legal requirements, especially those relating to anti-money laundering. We also consider whether the applicant's business will be beneficial to the sector in the long term. We should be able to announce more details once we have announced the first batch of licenses awarded. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Yu Ming. Thank you, Chair. We have been talking about changing the board lot system for stock trading for a long time. I hope we will be able to hear some updates this year soon. We have many citizens commenting on the operations of the EMPF, and with more trustees onboarding, we have seen a long time being taken for a transition. And in fact, for my member's office, it actually took over a month for that to happen. And we constantly had to communicate with EMPF via email and phone calls. For SMEs, their owners, it can be very difficult. It really eliminates the role of MPF intermediaries as well. Before, the intermediaries would complete the papers and then they only need the owner or the HR officer to sign this. Now they can't do much. They have to rely on the platform. Even if they want to remind the owners or HR personnel, there's not much they can do. And I have received feedback from frontline personnel. They want to play a greater role. Is it possible for us to involve them more in the operations of EMPF to make things smoother? Thank you. Secretary. I will answer the first question, and I will ask my colleague to answer the second question on EMPF. On what the member said about the board lot system, we're consulting stakeholders. If you have any comments, we welcome your view. Whether we should minimize the number of lot or whether we should standardize lots, I think we can talk about it. And we welcome views from different sectors. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yu. We want to make sure users find it convenient and secure to use the EMPF platform, and we ask EMPF and the contractor to really gauge user views. And now focus group meetings have been set up to find out more about users' views and implement improvement measures. The trustees no longer deal with administrative work relating to MPF operations, such as account maintenance and transfers, but they still play a key role, especially in liaison, to make things smoother in making contributions by companies. So we are working with the EMPF platform. We also have a tripartite arrangement where contractor, the EMPF, as well as trustees will have meetings to see if there's anything they need to improve on. We will follow up on the issue mentioned by the member as well. Thank you. Mr. Albert Chung, the new capital investment entrance scheme as at December of last year has received over 2,800 applications and it has attracted about $85 billion in investment. Does the administration have any plans to channel the capital to specific areas, for example, long-term bonds of the government, or invest in the infrastructure of Hong Kong? We can lock in the capital. It will also allay the capital burden on the government. We have some startups and we are trying to have them come to Hong Kong. Does the administration have any plans on this? Thank you. I will ask the Undersecretary to answer the questions. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, member, for your questions. On the CIES, as the member said, at the end of last year, we have received over 2,800 applications, and we expect that should bring about over $85 billion in investment. Right now, CIES applicants can invest in bonds, stocks, and funds, and 10% of them would have to be invested in the portfolio for the CIES applicants specifically. And the portfolio invests in products that are beneficial to the local economy in the long term, and the investments are made by the Hong Kong Investment Corporation. So that has already made for some contributions being strategic to the development of Hong Kong. With stocks and bonds investment, it can also generate good benefits for Hong Kong because it will bring about business to the financial sector. So this is the CIES arrangements. As for what you said about the new listing regime to have 3 boards, in fact, as the Secretary said, we are looking into different enhancements relating to the listing regime as well as the weighted voting rights structure. We are continuing to conducting certain studies, and we welcome your views. Thank you.
Mr. Hong came in. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Secretary and government officials. I'm concerned about the development of family office business in Hong Kong. Now, the government has completed the target of helping 200 family offices to move to Hong Kong. So I thank the government for its effort. However, from last year's record, it seems that most family offices came from the mainland and Taiwan. There's very few of them from European countries. Now, some 10 family offices from Middle Eastern countries are planning to move to Hong Kong. So I would like to know what's the latest situation. Now, paragraph 23 says that the HKMA will work with the General Chamber of Commerce, which I represent, and also the Banking Industry Association to reach out to ASEAN countries. So what about RCEP? Has the government completed its preparatory work for accession to RCEP? Now finally, Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, the HKMA has signed a memorandum of understanding with the PIF of Saudi Arabia, anchoring a new investment fund with target size of $1 billion to support the localization of companies in Saudi Arabia connected to Hong Kong. So has the platform started, and are there any investment projects ongoing? Thank you. Now, the Chief Executive and the Secretaries have been promoting our businesses in Saudi Arabia and Middle Eastern countries. So we will make announcements in due course concerning the progress. On family offices, I will defer the question to my team. Under Secretary, please switch on the Under Secretary's microphone. Thank you. Now, some figures about family offices. There are 2 figures. 1, family offices in operation in Hong Kong. According to the then report, by the end of 2023, there were more than 2,700 single-family offices in operation in Hong Kong. Over the past few years, with healthy developments in the market, it seems that there have been several hundred more. So the number now should be more than 3,000. So concerning the 200 family offices mentioned by the member, under Invest Hong Kong, there is a team dedicated for helping family offices to set up office or expand their business in Hong Kong. So the figure you mentioned, those from the mainland, European countries, and the US, that belongs to that figure. There have been family offices from the Middle East and the EU and the America, which came to Hong Kong already. Now, for family offices with no experience in setting up offices in Hong Kong, they may need more help from the Invest Hong Kong. For those family offices with experience in other places in the world, they are just trying to set up a branch office in Asia. They have the experience, so they do not need our direct support. But actually, there have been family offices from those regions. Now, according to the policy address, the target is in the next 3 years' time, the Invest Hong Kong dedicated team will help no fewer than 280 family offices to come to Hong Kong. Thank you. Any supplements from the HKMA? Now about the joint efforts between the HKMA and the PIF of Saudi Arabia to support the localization in Saudi Arabia of companies connected to Hong Kong. Projects are ongoing, but it involves sensitive business information, so forgive me for not divulging them. Next, Mr. Hong came in. Thank you. Now the briefing has strengthened our confidence and knowledge of the government's work in boosting Hong Kong's position as an international financial center. Now, under new growth points, the paper says that the government will promote the development of gold storage facilities, establishing a central clearing system for gold and also tokenized gold transaction. The international gold transaction will be a new growth area for Hong Kong. So does the government have plans to implement dedicated support policy for SMEs so as to enhance their capability to participate in the international gold market? Secretary, as you can see, in terms of tapping new markets, we have been in close liaison with the industries for new growth areas, including gold market and also crypto and green finance. We are not just looking at creating values in the financial market. We want to promote growth in the real economy as well. So for gold, besides having established a central clearing company, we will also establish an industry association. According to the feedback we heard, it seems that financial support is not the most urgent support needed, since it is only one-off. What the industry needs is long-term development opportunities and training. So down the road, through the new association of the industry, we will pool together expertise from existing players in the gold and silver market and grow the pool of talent so that businesses won't have to compete for talents, but rather there are sufficient talents which can help them develop their businesses. So through this industry association, we will work towards this goal. Now, concerning the developments of the gold market, as we have mentioned on Monday, at the Asian Financial Forum, is an effort across the entire value chain. We will involve all players in the world and in Hong Kong so as to promote the development of the gold market, at the same time benefiting our existing enterprises. Thank you. I'm the last member to speak. I have 3 questions. First, uncertificated security system. That is a very convenient thing. I don't think anyone would be against this improvement. Now, in the previous term of LegCo, we were just focusing on the regulatory system, but not the fee model for the uncertificated security arrangements. If the fee is too high, it may adversely impact certain stakeholders. It may add to the cost, and the cost may be transferred onto the clients. So how can we make sure that the market will not feel that the government is favoring the businesses? And what about financial support for stakeholders adversely impacted? Second, about gold. The Shanghai Gold Exchange has signed an MOU with the HKMA in terms of storage facilities, clearing system, and also with the upcoming industry association. It seems that the macro policies are already in place. What about micro measures? I declare interest. I'm a board member of the Hong Kong Gold Exchange. We have more than 100 members who expect to be more involved in the big picture. They would like to be included in the government's policies to develop gold markets. The third question is on futures. We need to attach more importance on futures. Undoubtedly, the IPO market is thriving, but it seems that we are not attaching sufficient importance to futures. But can we improve the arrangements to help investors save costs on futures? Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Now, on a rolling basis and on a comprehensive basis, we have been working with the industry, electrical members, and the regulatory bodies, as well as industry organizations. And we are aware of their views. On one hand, we are building new business models to benefit the market while involving the local businesses as well. So back to gold. The chairman mentioned two things. First, how can we better reflect the views of existing gold market stakeholders and how we can better involve them in our policy. So the industry association to be set up is a good platform for gauging the views of the stakeholders and make them involved. Now, second, on futures. Now, with the geopolitical tension, there is a higher need for risk management. So there is much room for developments in the futures market. So that's why we are actively promoting the developments of the gold futures market. There will be newcomers and new business models which will directly or indirectly benefit existing players. Now, thirdly, about the uncertificated securities reform and other reform measures. Now, the paperless policy has been a long time coming. Now, for certain reasons, we were not able to achieve that in the past. That also includes ensuring continual transaction during extreme weathers like typhoon. That's also something that we would like to do, but we're unable to, which have been achieved in this term of the government. That's due to the support of electrical members who have given the government the support of the industry and help us achieve what could not be achieved before. These are very important for the market. So I urge members to continue to support the government's work to continuously grow our financial markets while benefiting the trades. So the last member to speak, Ms. Carmen Khan, 2 minutes. Time is almost up. I only need a minute, Chairman. Now, the paper didn't mention the Hong Kong IC, Hong Kong Investment Company Incorporated. Now, the 2024 annual report has been published online. So besides uploading the reports, will the Hong Kong IC make a report to this panel? Thank you. Concerning the HKIC, under the leadership of the Financial Secretary, great results have been achieved. Now, the Hong Kong Investment Corporation Limited has made a report in relation to the management of the 3 million per head investments made by applicants under the CIES. So at different point of time, the HKIC has made relevant reports on necessary areas. Now, if members would like to receive certain reports from the HKIC, we will follow it up with the company concerning the investment items and the plans. Chairman, we would like to have the chief executive from the HKIC to answer our question here, rather than just uploading the report. Yes, I think the government has taken your point. That concludes this item. Once again, I thank the FSTP for attendance. Item 2, AOB. There being none, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.